Hello everyone, this is Father the Everchosen, back in Total War Warhammer 2, bringing you another quick battle, this time pitting my Greenskins under the command of Wurrzag, the Great Green Prophet, against the Empire under the command of Marcus Wulfhart. So looking at my opponent's army first real quick, they've got a single flagellant in the front, they've got 4 units of spears, one of which has a triple bronze chevron. Actually, they have 5 units of spears. They have 5 units of swordsmen, a greatsword, a halberd, a unit of huntsmen, 2 units of huntsmen, I should say, the Altdorf Griffites, 2 mortars, a bright wizard with burning head, fireball, and piercing bolts of burning, and then Marcus Wulfhart with, I believe, his full kit. On my side, I bring a slightly altered variation of my pretty standard greenskin build: 2 Savage Orc Biggins, 2 Savage Orcs, 2 Orc Boys, and 2 Stone Trolls, along with the Rusty Heirs, the Death Creepers, and then this time, instead of, if you watched my earlier video, Grom, I have brought Wurrzag, so then I don't have to bring the Shaman on top of that. Wurrzag brings his full complement, plus Brainburster and Foot of Gork. The Black Orc also brings his full complement, so he has his Brass Cleaver and the Dragon Slayer Fang and his abilities. And then I decided to bring an Orc Boar Chariot, just to see, if you know me, or if you've watched me, my micro's not the best, so I try to pick like 1 or 2 units, but I'm trying to get better, and the only way to get better is to use things. The chariots, I typically like a little more because I can leave them in combat for a few seconds, and if I forget about them, they're not going to just disappear, like some cavalry does. But we're going to jump into this battle. Right away, I notice that my opponent is kind of clumped up here. I check, I see that he's got the mortars, and I know that I've just got to start booking it towards the line. The balance of power is about 50-50. My opponent has more troops but less elite, and I've got less troops but I guess you could say more elite. He early doors is taking out these Orc Boys. Marcus Wulfhart's taking shots on them, and we're just trying to advance as quickly as we can. My Death Creepers come over here, and I see the Altdorf Griffites. They've got 75 speed, but once they get inflicted with that poison condition, they can't catch the Death Creepers and think, well, why not just try to take out the Griffites early doors. Wurrzag is already taken quite a beating from Marcus. He definitely has that going for him. I drop an effigy of the Git on him, trying to get my Black Orc engaged, but he triggers Hunter's Snare, his basically a net of Ammontok, but I do get some shots off on him, forcing him to retreat from the Rusty Heirs. The Black Orc engages with the Flagellants along with the Orc Boys, and at this point, I'm just issuing all my orders, trying to get through. I see this burning head coming, and quite effectively dodge it. I think these Savage Orcs take a little bit, and maybe these take no, these don't take any, but not a single unit model drops. And now I'm in his back lines. I've got my Stone Trolls in here, got my Chariot cutting through the Huntsmen. My Savage Orcs are going to engage over there. We'll slow it down just a hair. Dropping Brain Bursters throughout. You know, this Brain Burst is going to hit this Swordsman. Let's watch this to its full effect. Dropping them. And now I'm really just trying to keep Wurrzag alive as long as I can, get as much magic out of him. If I lose him, it's not ideal, but it might happen. The Death Creepers continue to fire at the Royal Altdorf Griffites. Along with the Stone Trolls, we're going to make pretty good work of them. Them being poisoned this whole time, lowering their weapon strength, their speed, their leadership, is pretty good. And keeping Wurrzag right here is keeping them in the fight without routing them. Throughout the rest of the battlefield, just trying to get everything routed off. These Savage Orc Biggins are engaged with the Halberds. I've got the Orc Boar Chariot coming through. And now a Wah triggers. And I'm able to tear through my opponents even faster. Get these boars coming through the back line. Tearing through this spearman pretty effectively. I do get my Black Orc Big Boss over here. Keeping these stone trolls against the Griffites, which the Griffites leave. I drop a nice foot of Gork here on these huntsmen, effectively neutering them. And then I see that my Orc Boar Chariot gets stuck in here in just a moment. But everything else is, kind of just trying to mop things up. And you'll see in just a moment. I've got the Death Creepers chasing them off right over here. If you noticed, there was a Brain Burster trying to get my Boar Chariot out. It doesn't work as well. I probably should have targeted a little closer to them. But the Boar Chariot's not doing terrible. I get Marcus with an effigy to get. Wurrzag is very, very low. But my Black Orc Big Boss is quite healthy. I've still got both Stone Trolls on the table. And at this point, just like everything's routing, State troops are great, but once they route, you can pretty effectively keep them routed. Marcus Wulfhart trying to engage in some combat here with my Black Orc Big Boss. And now that this side of his army has kind of collapsed, drop a Brain Burster here, letting my Stone Trolls catch up, and then also letting my Black Orc not get caught too quickly. And now just looking around, I've got Orc Boys chasing units here. I've got these Orcs that are going to need to be reactivated. Halberdiers are still fighting. Trolls are taking things out. My Chariot has come back. The Death Creepers are slowly but surely keeping things off the battlefield. My opponent now only has 412, and that's the penalty of bringing a wider army against a more elite army. Sometimes it works, but now, especially with the Black Orc, giving the immune to psych, it's much harder to encircle and rout off the Greenskins, which is good. As long as the Lord was alive and they had a strong boss to follow, the Greenskins wouldn't be routing off. Marcus Wulfhart has Wurrzag dead to rights here, shoots him once, dropping him 203 hit points. But Wurzag's still there, still kicking, and then his regular shot, which sometimes I feel like his regular shot does far more damage, but the Black Orc Big Boss is more than enough to take on Marcus. The rest of his army is all gone, and he's completely surrounded. So at that point, everything routs, and I walk away with a victory there. Wurrzag dying, but racking up 77 kills in the process. The Big Boss not doing, crazy good, but keeping things in the fight. But then really, this is where you see the difference between the state troops and the baseline orcs. Orc boys, almost 100 kills, 51 kills, 76, 126, 104, 83 versus... you add up all of his infantry, and it'll top 100, but not by much. These two put together, what's that? That's 60, 73, 80, 90, 104, 129. So just more than my Savage Orc. Just more than this one Savage Orc. By 3 kills. So that Savage Orc almost did as much damage as the entirety of my opponent's foot troops. Royal Altdorf Griffites. I don't know why he left them there. That would be the biggest mistake he made, was leaving the Griffites there to just get shot to hell by the Death Creepers and then engaged by Stone Trolls. They weren't coming out of that. My Stone Trolls racking up a respectable amount of kills. The Rusty Arrow is doing really good. 39 kills on this Boar Chariot isn't great, but I do think that getting some of those charges and then occupying some of the troops may have been worth it. Marcus Wulfhart, interesting campaign lord, interesting lore. I like him a lot. In the end times, I know he kills Taurox the Brass Bull because, being the Hunts Master of the Empire, super accurate with that bow. He shoots Taurox right in the throat, his one weak point, and kills him, which is, suitably epic for him, but I don't think he's a good multiplayer lord. I really don't. I've tried to use him. I don't know. I don't think the ranged lords, save for like the Glady up on her dragon, do very well. Elithanar isn't a fantastic lord either. At least he gets the arrows of Kurnos, which are, I think, are the arrows of Kurnos-esque thing, are better than Wulfhart's snipe ability. But I don't know. I would always bring, I would even bring a General of the Empire over Marcus Wulfhart. Put him up on a Griffin. Bring Franz. Bring Boris Todbringer. Even Gelt, I think I would bring over Wulfhart. The lore of metal is a very devastating lore of magic in the game and obviously in lore, but I think it's a decent enough lore, especially if you want to buff up, lower tier troops. That's why I think it's kind of odd that the Bright Wizard didn't have Flaming Sword of Rune. He just had all the damage fire spells, which, they're good, but I don't think he might have been on a horse, but should have been up in the air on a Pegasus, firing those fireballs directly down at people. But, I don't know. There were things he could have done better, but again, every battle I've shown you where I've gone elite and somebody's gone wide, I think the elite troops will always outclass the going wide, because this isn't real world tactics. Going wide was good for a lot of people, being able to envelop your enemy and slowly, pinch them together, especially making formations fight on two sides. But this isn't a formation. You don't have the old animations of, unit model fighting unit model. Obviously you get the flanked penalty, but I think you can't think of it like real world tactics. So I thank my opponent for a good fight, and I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And as always, I've been Father the Ever Chosen.